Hello, hello. It's September 18th, 2024 in Antigua and Barbuda. Um, Today is the publication of the 18th edition of my Creative Space Art and Culture column for the year 2024. On the 18th day of the month, our series relaunched online in 2018. I think that means 18 is my lucky number. At any rate, it's an opportunity to reintroduce Creative Space, my art and culture column, to share journalism features or writing tips from the 18th article of each year since 2018. So let's go. 2018. The 18th article was the Arbor Day Fair. First line, this is a reminder to plant a tree or buy a tree, or at least not to cut down a tree for no good reason. As with the first article of 2018 about the Playing to Inspire concert, I think this was opportunistic. I was there taking things in, and it was an opportunity to thread the needle in an environmental theme, something that's important to me. There are always opportunities to do that, i.e., to observe and make connections if you stay alert. So, tip one, stories are all around if you keep your eyes open. 2019 only goes up to 14. So, I'm going to do the first one for the year, The Long Walk. First line, there is a sequence in Zara Errol's staging of The Long Walk, an original slave plantation era Antiguan and Barbudan play. That was so emotionally harrowing. I feel some relief that I was in the dark as it squeezed tears from me. I believe I was invited by the director who invites criticism of her plays. And of course, the first thing I had to say was that it affected me, then try to figure out how and why. That requires not just your reaction in the moment, but context, backstory, technique, which leads to tip two. When responding to a work of art, try to figure out how the work is working or not working to pull a reaction out of you. 2020. The 18th article of 2020 was A Tale of Two Kings. First line. On Monday, October 19th, 2020, I found myself listening to/ watching two media broadcasts simultaneously: the live stream of the funeral of Sir Rupert, King Swallow Philo, and a roll call of some of the men executed with King Court. Continuity is a big part of how I see culture, I think, and this one provides commentary with past and present cultural and/or historical moments and the ways they're bonded, because, per tip three, context matters. 2021 Creative Space headline was for the 18th article was Clarence House and the Complicated Landscape of Our Colonial Past. First line, Clarence House, part of Antigua and Barbuda's national parks, overlooks Nelson's Dockyard, a 5-year World Heritage Site and 300 plus year colonial landscape. Speaking of context, Antigua and Barbuda was a slave colony. Our ancestors were enslaved people. And one of the things I keep coming back to, example, looking more recently at our place names, is the ways our colonizers' stamp is still on us. Clarence House is part of how we are repurposing that. The architecture is interesting, but the veneration of these spaces is also interesting. As we saw in the Black Lives Matter movement, one of the shifts is recontextualization of our relationship with these spaces. And so the reminder via tip four, research and recontextualization is part of the job. 2022, the 18th article of 2022 was about Wallings. First line, I thought I'd write about Wallings this week. I'd written about Wallings a couple of years before when the lady, Rafika, spearheading its transformation, gave me a tour and discussed her vision for the space. I came back to it at a time when perhaps she had become too successful at transforming it because now there was a proprietorship battle. As someone who used to visit Wallings for various reasons before all this, including to get away and be quiet, I thought to take it back to tell the story of Wallings, what it has been, what it is, why it matters. And that mattered not just for the moment as things seem to be falling apart, but for future understanding of the moment. That is tip five. It's still about the what, where, when, why, who, how. Documentation matters. 2023, the 18th article was The Power of Arts Education. First line, I attended Antigua Con, but as that's already gotten pages of coverage, let me talk about the other arts event I attended on August 19th, 2023. The closing concert, persevering through several power outages at the Dean William Lake Center for the Wadadley Music Enrichment Camp, my second youth arts camp concert of the summer. I spent much of summer 2023 with my nephew, chauffeuring him to his camps, one a general culture camp, one a music camp. And this was basically a roundup of activities, but again, funneled through a specific theme, arts education, of which I am a champion. This was a combination of what I observed, which would just be what happened, where, and all that, and interviewing the organizers of one of the camps, which allows me to pin down the why it's happening, and why it matters. But from pre to post, there's a reason, and sometimes you need to figure out what your reason is because, fortunately and sometimes unfortunately, tip six, we are signaling what we think matters by what we choose to write about. 2024, the 18th article is Consumer Watch Customer Service Anecdotes. First line: customer service in Antigua and Barbuda is, to put it kindly, inconsistent. It's one of the things that makes increasing costs, whether due to inflation or predatory pricing, harder to swallow. Creative Space is not a news column, but features process the news and the lived reality more expansively, moving beyond the just the facts credo. So inflation, egg prices, speaking to what's immediately topical, is processed through the customer experience, making it personal because the article is anecdotal, more collective. There were a number of experiences to choose from, and so the challenge was the pre-editing, which experiences to use. Yeah, this experience is interesting, but you have limited space. Is it more relevant to the theme than this other experience? The writing, including transitioning from one anecdote to the next, becomes easier once I figure out not just what I'm going to be writing about, but how I'm going to be writing about them. In this case, good experiences only, no negative or mixed or mid experiences, which becomes easier when you, per tip 7, find your focus. That's it. Creative Space is my independent Caribbean and Antiguan and Barbudan art and culture column, currently running this and every other Wednesday in the digital print edition of the Daily Observer, and now on its own platform, creativespace12.wordpress.com. And I hope to continue to grow it, both in terms of its storytelling and its commercial viability, merch, brand partnerships, advertising, other business, monetize, monetization, and growth opportunities. You can grow with me and help me grow by reading the column, commenting, liking, and sharing behind the scenes. I need growth support as well. So if you're a financial consultant or advisor with experience working with artists or entrepreneurs in the Caribbean space, and if you're an aspiring writer, journalist interested in an internship to learn tools of the trade while assisting with research and communication, etc., reach out. I love this column. I rebooted it in 2018 and again in 2020, took it multi-platform in 2021, and with every installment, I hope to continue to grow. Everything I'm writing about is of personal interest and I hope of community value, creating space for all of us via the Creative Space Art and Culture column.